Uh, the day for yesterday when we finished our first session, before Anamika's session, we stopped at the point when we were discussing about risk. So I thought we will expand a little bit more on risk, resilience, and regeneration. All of you are involved in programs and projects that require dealing with risk, resilience, and regeneration. So when we're deepening the subject of meeting the unmet needs, and we'll include some discussion also on the portfolio, how portfolio of opportunities, but has to be matched with portfolio of livelihood activities that people are engaged in. So this is a very simple way, I will explain it a little more, to understand the risk adjustment strategies, but also vulnerabilities. So here there are two dimensions. Average return. So what is the average return that I get from my enterprises? So we were discussing yesterday evening, that community, which was the region? Wahida. Now if we look at Wahida region, the average income from maize or goat is low. And because of it being a dry region, very low rainfall, very high fluctuation year to year, isn't it? So this belongs to the category of this one. Low mean, high variance. Low average productivity or income, high fluctuation. This is the most vulnerable set of people we have in the country. People who have very low level of income because of reliance on one or two enterprise, and have high fluctuation because of climatic and weather factors. Then we have low mean, low variance, which means average productivity is low, but variance is also low. Some of the valley region in the mountains are like this. There may be little bit of coffee or little bit of other cocoa production, not much fluctuation, but income may also be low because there may not be much irrigation, there may not be much infrastructure. Then you have high mean and low variance. This happens in the irrigated areas, this happens in the areas having good infrastructure, this happens in the area where technology is very advanced or high-yielding varieties are grown, and these are the regions where productivity is high, fluctuation is very low because they are not dependent on weather as much. If you have good irrigation system, you don't worry about rainfall too much because you have good irrigation or good groundwater. So this is the least vulnerable. These are the most prosperous people. When we do segmentation for our project, where should we spend how much resources? I would say if you leave these people, and to some extent these one, high mean, high variance. So when you grow hybrid crops, cross-bred cattle, or technologies which are greenhouse gases, greenhouse chambers cultivation, vegetables grown in the greenhouses, they will have very high productivity, but sometimes fluctuation is high. The new breeds of livestock, of poultry, they give you a lot of yield. Egg production is very high, but comes a disease and they are all wiped out. So they are very vulnerable to disease and pest. High mean, high variance. Now, we obviously will recognize that in these two segments, the markets are quite strong because the income is more, purchasing power is high, the private sector locates its distribution points, lot of malls, lot of shops, lot of retail units for farm machinery, for food, for consumption item, various things. In these two areas, markets are weak, and here the market is weakest. In Bahira region, market is weakest. You will not find many shop there. You will not find many distribution point there. It is predictable, not just in Colombia. In my country, in every country, you will find the same pattern. All over the world, you will find the same pattern, where risk is high, resilience is low, markets are weak. Markets don't want to take risk. They avoid those regions. So where is the role of the state? Very important. The role of the state, the public sector, the government, is most important in areas where market is weak. But sometimes what happens is opposite. Government is also strong, appoints efficient officers, builds good institutions in the regions where markets are also strong. Because there are good educational institutions, good colleges, good schools, everybody wants to be posted there, isn't it? You would have noticed that the bureaucracy, unfortunately, is strong in areas where market is strong and not in the areas where market is weak. This is the paradox. We have to compensate for the market weakness by state strength or voluntary organizations' strength, civil society strength. So this is useful for us to strategize our interventions. We need different kinds of innovations in different regions. So you will notice, for example, we have already gone through this. So what is the first priority as we discussed? Yes, please.
Buenos días, profesor. Si nos devolvemos al slide anterior. Cuando nos estimula a hacer segmentación, ¿hay alguna forma de parametrizar el criterio para volverlo más objetivo y no subjetivo? Y con base en eso poder estar con mayor certeza en qué cuadrante yo ubico para poder tener mejor análisis.
There are three advantages of this segmentation, or what you said rightly, parameterization of the problem. One is over space. So I can decide which regions should I give priority to. Which regions will need what kind of resilience? Where will community structures be strong, and where will community structures be weak? Where will communities be supported by market and state, and where communities may be on their own, like Bahira region, where neither state is strong nor markets are strong. There our interventions have much more value because we have to make people resilient. We have to regenerate the economy of that region. Whatever little water is there, we have to use it judiciously to avoid some people taking too much of water, some people not taking any water. So therefore, the kind of institutions we build, the kind of technologies we need, the kind of governance we need will not be same in the regions with different kind of risk and return profile. That is the central point. That is the most important point that I'm trying to make, that many times we use our understanding, intuitive understanding, but this gives us a tool to parameterize the risk. So we can look at the fluctuation in the environment, fluctuation in the productivity. We can look at the data of last 20 years, plot it. We will find out which regions have high fluctuation in their enterprises, in their activities, in their income, in their productivity. Please mind you, these are the regions from where maximum migration will take place, out migration. Where vulnerability is high, out migration is also high. Where productivity is high and variance is low, in migration is high. People come to the region where infrastructure is strong, where average income is high, variance is low, isn't it? It's very systematic. It's not random. There's a theory, there is a logic in it. Where will people go? Where jobs are. Where are jobs? Where productivity is high. Where from people will go? Where jobs are not there. Where jobs are not there? Where risk is high. So there is a systematic pattern in these relationships of migration, of productivity, of resilience, of malnutrition, of vulnerability, of absenteeism in the school. Where will children be away from the classes? In the regions of high risk. Children have to work along with the parents. They have to take animal for grazing. Instead of going to school, they take goat for grazing. I have not gone there, but having studied lots of such communities, we can find patterns. And these patterns invariably occur in most parts of the developing or middle income countries. Is that clear? Does it make sense?
I think he was talking about the economic activity. So the questions they should put to understand.
Yes, you will also realize now, for different communities having these conditions, we need different kinds of solutions. And some solutions will depend, as I said last time, our first priority, should it be to reduce risk or to increase productivity or increase income? In regions where vulnerability is high, here, our priority is to reduce risk first. Then we will increase productivity. If we start with increasing productivity, give them inputs, fertilizer, pesticide, or other things, they will not be responsive. Because they're not sure they'll be able to pay back or they'll be able to use it properly. So various kinds of practices which reduce risk, agroforestry, for example, growing trees and crop together is one way. Mulching, putting biomass in the field, or providing some insurance, group insurance for livestock, making sometimes mobile schools or mobile libraries, because people cannot, the population density is also low, please understand. In these regions, as against here, the population density, number of people per square kilometer, will be much less in Vajra region, isn't it? Because there, it is much risky. So one house here, one house there. Whereas in the developed region, you have density is high. A lot of people live in a small area. Which means providing public amenities, providing education, providing technology, providing health is more economical in high density regions and very costly in low density region. But if our norms, now this is a issue of governance, if our criteria is to provide one health worker for 100 families, in high density region, 100 families are in maybe 2 square kilometer or 5 square kilometer. In low density region, they are on 25 square kilometer. Very unfair. System is very unfair. Therefore, when you look at governance, the criteria of allocating people, the manpower, human power or resources cannot be same in all the regions. This is a very important point from governance. Fairness in governance, justice in governance. Unfortunately, bureaucrats, the public policy makers many times use the same criteria for the entire country. It is not viable. It will not work. It will leave some people behind. It will increase the income disparities. It will make poor people more poor and rich people more rich, because our allocation of resources, infrastructure, manpower is not fair. So this is a useful tool to map in our mind the risk that communities are facing and how we should design our solutions, design our policies, design our delivery system, design our interventions so that they reduce the risk. Now, as I said, portfolio of economic activities, social, cultural activities, these are linked. The migration, the women-headed and managed households, women-headed and managed households are more in the regions where risk is high, where male emigration is high. The male workers go out. Who are left behind? Women. They run the house. So if we want to develop women-oriented program, of course they are needed everywhere, but if I have limited resources, I should give priority to the regions where women have to shoulder more responsibilities. They manage the household. So therefore it is worthwhile to recognize that weak markets, high outmigration, low population density, greater share of women managed household, these are linked. These are not randomly distributed. Next. So our challenge now is how to mediate, how to take the communities from low mean high variance to low mean low variance and then high mean low variance. That is our goal. So we want people from here to go here or here and then here. Pathways can be different. But our goal is to move the people from high risk to low risk conditions. All of us in our life want to avoid risk, isn't it? So also these people. So the role of common properties is very vital in high risk environments. Everywhere. In the cities, you try to find community structures for managing biomass. It was voluntary, good. But in risky regions, it is compulsory. People cannot survive alone. They need collective action. They need to do many things cooperatively. Manage grazing lands cooperatively. Manage water cooperatively. Not everybody has a well in Vahira region, what's that? Vahira region, isn't it? Vahira region. They can't afford individual well. In Bogota, we can have, each one of us has our own tap. Or in other regions, developed region. But in high risk environments, we have to share one well will be shared among 50 families, maybe 100 families, maybe 200 families. So it becomes common property. Not individual, common. That means in governance, we have to emphasize in our institution building effort how to manage things collectively. One of the important goals of sustainable governance is learning to work together, learning to cooperate, learning to manage things which are scarce collectively. So common property institutions therefore play a very important role. And it also means that when it comes to technology, for example, the windmill or solar panels that were being provided by one of the voluntary organizations in that Vahira region, they're trying to provide it collectively, not to each individual. They're saying you can have batteries individually, but charging point is common. You can't give charging point to everybody. Isn't it? So it's very interesting that the models, technological models, the administrative model, the institutional model, they have to, we don't have to do experiment to find it out. This is what the theory says. That when resources are scarce, population density is low, risk is high, you have to pay attention to collective management of resources, of technologies. We have to spend a lot of time in discussing with the community how to manage collective resources. And as you know, there are a lot of literatures on the management of common properties. How do we really handle the free rider problem? Free rider is those who want to benefit from the facility but don't contribute to its maintenance. and Marcus Olson, there is a famous book on logic of collective action. And he makes a very important point. Olson makes a very important point. He says if the free riding is too small, 1, 2%, 3%, ignore it. The cost of supervising or monitoring that will be much higher than the benefit you will get. We can't make everybody cooperate. Let us accept it. In the families, within our family, not all family members cooperate equally, isn't it? Not all brother and sister contribute equally to the family challenge, isn't it? Some people could do more, some are less. The girls are more responsible than boys in general, isn't it? At least in our part of the world that is true. Maybe here also. So, something we can ignore, but not too much. Otherwise, system will collapse. So, we need continuous innovations in a dynamic manner. This point came up in the discussion other day, that we need continuous innovation, not just one innovation one time and we think problem will be solved. So the role of lab and role of all of us is to keep looking for solutions, which will help improve the newer and newer challenges that will emerge with changes in the environment. It's a dynamic process. It will not be one-time solution that will work. Now here I want to discuss an important part of what we discussed just now from knowledge management point of view. How do we manage knowledge? Knowledge is distributed in 3 subsets of society. Some knowledge is with me as an individual. Some knowledge is with my family or my neighborhood. Some knowledge is known to everybody, which is called as public knowledge. So you have a public knowledge, you have community knowledge, and you have private knowledge. All of us have some recipes of food or medicine which we know only in our family. Sometimes the community knows it. Sometimes the whole world knows it. For instance, if you have cough, then you take ginger juice with honey, correct? It's a public knowledge. It is true in Colombia, it is true in India, it is true in Australia, it is true everywhere in the world. Everybody knows this. If you have a slight cough, take ginger juice, mix with honey, it will give you relief. This is called public knowledge, knowledge which is widely available. Then there is a knowledge which only Wakira people may have, we may not have. And within that community, some settlements may have some knowledge, other settlements may have different knowledge. Some people know which part of the body of goat has hairs which can be made into a brush for painting. You need soft hair for brushes, for painting brushes, correct? Art brushes. Some people know which part of the body, which hairs of the goat can make good brushes. Not everybody knows that. Similarly, some hairs from the horses are used to make brushes. Now these are traditions. When we see the paintings that they make, we have to ask ourselves, they must have knowledge of brushes also. They must have knowledge of colors also. And this knowledge sometimes is with the community, not with only one family. But not with everybody also. If I were to ask you, how will you make good brushes, you may just go to market and buy. You may not be able to make good brushes of your own. But that community does, because there's no market there. But they have to paint. They have to dye their clothes with different colors, so they know the knowledge about which color to obtain from which plant or which rock or which soil, isn't it? They have knowledge of that. So it's very important that we realize that there are 3 kinds of knowledge, and when Anamika discusses the prior informed consent, she will talk about which areas we need the consent of the communities and which areas we need the consent of the individuals when we document their knowledge. Now it's very important, and again, to notice knowledge and practice are not same. You know that ginger juice and honey is good combination for cough. Do you know how to make ginger juice? How many of you know how to extract ginger juice? You see the point? We know, no, you will not get juice out of that. There's a technique. Anybody knows how to get juice out of ginger? You know, when you crush ginger, no juice will come out. Then you have to put it in a piece of cloth and twist it. Then juice comes out. You see the point? You have to put it in a piece of cloth and twist it. Then juice comes out. Not by just striking it. No, you will not get juice by grinder. Not in ginger. Orange, yes. Apple, yes. But not in ginger. Ginger is very fibrous. So what I'm saying is, practice is different from knowledge. Those who know and also practice have greater right on knowledge. We have to deal with them differently than with those who have only knowledge but no skill to practice. So there is a knowledge and there is a skill to practice the knowledge. There are different fruit teas that we are taking. Which tea has what medicinal benefit, I may know about, but I may not be able to decide how much of that tea I should take for how much of my problem. How much? So dosages, only expert can tell me. So please appreciate that the knowledge and practice are different. I'm not getting into too much detail, into complicating how individual knowledge, community knowledge, public knowledge, individual practice, community practice, public practice can be changed. I'll avoid that discussion just now, but it is enough to know that this is an issue which merits attention when building institutions in the community. Sometimes some people who are expert in practicing deserve more respect. They deserve more attention. You cannot treat them like anybody else. It's like this. Experts in any community, in any profession, in any college, in any organization, the experts, we have to pay more attention to what they're saying because they have spent their life in working in that area. Likewise, in the community, there are people who are experts in finding out which well, where to dig the well to get water, what medicine to give to the goat so that it gets healed, how to make good wool to make blankets or make different kinds of baskets, how to process the fiber. There are people who know well. They train others, of course. So this is, next please. So what are we talking about? We are talking about passion, purpose, and process. Our passion to achieve results, our passion to change the society and make it more productive, more just, more fair, this purpose requires passion, and this purpose requires a process. Passion is not enough. Passion without process will not work. I may be very passionate, but I'm not following a process. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I do that, and my energy is going in all directions. No results will come. We have to tame our passion with process to achieve the purpose through platforms. Honeybee Network was one platform. UNDP Act Lab is another platform. This is a platform. You can use this platform for various purposes. For finding solutions, for finding the affordable solutions, for finding the solutions that are less complex versus more complex, isn't it? So different kinds of solutions can be found in the lab. Different kinds of experiments can be done through the lab. So it's a platform. And then we achieve the performance. So performance is not an outcome of my passion alone. I'm very passionate, but I'm not following a process. I have not created platforms for knowledge sharing and knowledge exchange and knowledge criticism or critique. Then I don't get results. Now, this is a simple thing. Don't get deterred by the diagram. There's a concept called as long tail of innovation. So we have different degree of diffusion, which innovation will diffuse how much. And over time, some innovations will diffuse very widely. So cell phone became very popular very quickly. Within few years, almost everybody had a cell phone. Correct? But when it comes to water filter, not everybody has water filter. Sometimes because of cost, sometimes because I don't think there's a need for it. Large number of communities do not have water filter. In Vahira region, we asked this question yesterday. In many wells, water is very saline. Water has very high salt content. And we asked the question, have we asked what do people do to filter this water? This is a matter to be explored further. We still don't have good answers. So water filter has not diffused very well, even though 60% diseases, human diseases, are waterborne. 60% human diseases are waterborne. They are carried, the pathogen is carried through water. Typhoid and many others. Malaria, the vector breeds in water, stagnant water. So 60% diseases are waterborne. And yet, clean water or water filtration has not become a uniform or universal need. We can buy a cell phone, we don't buy a water filter, unfortunately. This is a behavioral issue, but also issue of technology and issue of communication and governance. So what happens therefore, some innovations diffuse very much, some less, some less, some less, some even less, and some are what is called as niche-based solution, niche-based solution. Anybody? Niche-based solution. That means one solution in this pocket here, one solution in that pocket there, no solution in that region. Then again, there is a solution there. So some solutions are niche-based, but some will be found acceptable by a very large number of people. And we have to understand this. It is nothing, sometimes it is nothing to do with the solution per se, but also the attitude or the behavioral aspect of the society which adopts certain things very fast, does not adopt the same thing otherwise. You know, in our country we noticed, and maybe in some parts of Colombia you may have the same problem, that even with high income you have high malnutrition. Correct? 60% women in our country have anemia. They are short of iron. I don't know about Colombia what percentage of women have anemia, are anemic, less iron. But it will be checked, just check. So why should 60% women in India be anemic when poverty is only 20%? Because many of you have stopped using iron vessel. Even your ladle is not iron, it is non-stick. Right? All your pans are non-stick. Where from iron will come? You have removed all iron vessels from our kitchen. 7.6. Huh? 7.6? Percent. Percent. That's the fertile. That means it's during the reproductive phase. So at least you have managed a little better, because in meat-eating communities, anemia is less. In vegetarian communities, anemia is more. But in any case, the point is that nutrition should not be low. If you look at malnutrition, for example, you may find that the poverty level is less, but malnutrition level is high because of behavioral dimension. We are not eating properly. We are not eating good. So this is the long tail of innovation, which means not every innovation will diffuse widely, and we should understand why, and we have to do something specific in delivery system to improve the adoption. It is not always the problem of innovation. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it is because of the communication about the innovation that is changing the behavior of adopters.
There's a study in which they found in 2018, out of 500 women, sorry, 500
Out of 500 people, 54.3% were somewhat anemic.
Where?
In Colombia, that's that's a study from Hospital Universitario San Ignacio. Yes.
Give a particular region.
So it's a clinical study.
Clinical study. No, so what I'm saying is that it is a universal worldwide problem that women, because they menstruate, every month we lose iron. Women lose iron. They need to replenish it regularly. And to replenish regularly, their spinach and some other food they should eat, but also more iron should go in the body. Sometimes we don't replenish the iron as much as we lose, the women lose. Now, this is a problem of not always affordability. We can afford, but we are using non-stick vessel. We are not using iron vessel at all. Even the ladle, we are not using iron. All your tools in the kitchen are of non-stick material. So iron is not leaching in our curry. Iron is not leaching into our food. You understand? If some of you are interested, you can read on the net. Just show them magic iron fish. I'll show you one innovation in Cambodia done by by a Canadian student, Charles Walters. Just write, magic iron fish. Just write magic iron fish, yeah. This one. Just press it below. Yeah. Just press this. So what this fellow did, Charles Walters, he made a fish of cast iron, 126 gram, cast iron, fish of iron, and told people who can't eat fish every day, because many people are poor, they can't afford fish, put this iron fish in your food. When you boil pulses or anything, or make rice, put that. One fish of 126 gram will provide enough iron for a family of 5 for 5 years. 5 years. Fish is just you can give any shape, doesn't matter. You can make it pork, you can make it elephant, you can make anything. And you have to add little lemon, that's all, to make it bioavailable. So what I'm saying is, solutions sometimes are very low cost. We suffer in our society not always because we can't afford. Many times, good solutions are not available to us. Knowledge has not been diffused properly. We have not done good experiments to prove that at very low cost, we can remove a very major problem for our society. Every ladle that we use, at least in the kitchen, you know, to turn the food in the saucer pan, should be of iron, at least one of them. Come back. So this is called long nose of innovation. Long nose means the innovation was available long time ago, but it found adaptation much later. Mouse of the computer was discovered 20 years before it was actually used. When Windows 93 came, then we realized that we don't have to use DOS, disk operating system, or Unix. We can now use mouse. But mouse was invented 20 years before. But there was no use for it because we didn't have the platform, we didn't have the technology. So that is an example of long nose of innovation. Sometimes innovations exist in society, but we are not able to harness that advantage, that knowledge in our system. There are 75 innovations that he will share the PPT I've shared with you. Yesterday he shared a PPT of 75 innovations that Acceleration UNDP Acceleration Lab team has documented already. Most of them have not been used in our programs, correct? It should not become long nose. That after 20 years we start using them. We should start using them now. They're available. They're available. So what I'm trying to say is that it is possible to reduce the gap between discovery of a solution and its utilization. Next, please. This is a triangle which led to the establishment of GYAN, where Anamika is CEO. Grassroots Innovation Augmentation Network, 1997. We realized in NEP network that you need to link three things: innovation, investment, enterprise. And innovation both in formal sector and informal sector. Grassroots innovation, but innovation for grassroots also. Innovation by technological, institutional, and educational, all the three kinds of innovation. Innovation governance, which is institutional. Technology, education, pedagogy, communication. Investment, intellectual investment, material investment, financial investment. We often think about financial investment, but we don't think about intellectual investment, knowledge intensive. How many databases we have made available to our communities in local language? A question we should ask. Isn't it a fair question? If they have a problem, where will they go? They should have a database, they press the problem, paste in COCO, and they will find 10 solutions. That's what we have done. We will show you databases. An enterprise. Same person or same community may not have all the three skills. I may not be good entrepreneur. I may be innovator. I don't have investment. How do you bring them together? So please appreciate that when we are looking for solutions or innovations, we are looking them, it's not enough. We need to connect them to investment, to enterprise. All the three will have to be connected. And when they're connected, they will be able to turn around the situation. The transaction cost, let me tell you about transaction cost. Some of you have economics background, so you may know that. Others, it is easy to understand. Don't get deterred by the term. There are two kinds of transaction cost. Ex ante. Before we enter into a transaction, before we enter into a contract with the community about a project, there are some costs we have to incur. And there are costs incurred when we have entered into contract, now we have to implement the project. There are costs. There are 4 kinds of ex ante transaction cost. Searching information. If I want to see a movie in a cinema hall, what is the first thing I want to know? Which movie? Correct? So in a project, if you want to implement a program on health or education or irrigation or agriculture, whatever, searching information, where are the solutions? Who are the people? Who should I talk to for solution? Second, finding supplier. Who has the information? Where is the information, relevant information? Who can provide me that information? Who should I contact for that solution? So in most cases, ACT Lab has put the name or source of the idea. Finding supplier. Third, cost of negotiation. At what times? Is it an intellectual property protected knowledge, innovation? Is it open source? Will you also tell me how to use your knowledge? Or you will just give me a document and say, you use it your way? What are the terms at which I will get know how and know why? Both. I want to know how to work on this innovation, how to make it happen. Will the innovator come and train my community? Part of the negotiation, isn't it? Not enough to give information. Not enough to know who can provide the information. I have to negotiate the terms at which this information will reach the people for whom I'm working. And then the fourth cost is drawing up the contract. Now we have terms and conditions under which we can work together so that the knowledge or the solution from the provider at the terms and conditions we've agreed becomes a contract. Right? Correct? Is it clear? Up to now? Now we come to the next stage, ex post. So what is the first course now? First cost. Enforcement. I have to implement the contract now. And when I implement, I discover problems. The conditions that we have designed are not working out. Isn't it happen? Does it not happen many times? Despite all the care you have taken in drawing up the contract, all the wisdom, all the judgment, with most clean and kind heart you have drawn the contract, but things are not working out. So what is the next thing you do? What is called as side payment or incentives. You change conditions. You try to modify the conditions and make it more attractive. So people say, the chief of the community says, put your the water pump at my house, in my farm. And you say, no, that is not the right way. We want to put it in a public space. Give us some public space where we can put it so that everybody in the community can use it. No, I'm telling you, this is where you have to put it. And sometime the incentive structure doesn't work, and there is a conflict, cost of conflict resolution. We cannot bury the conflict under the carpet. We have to face it. In most projects, on some or the other issue, some conflict will arise. Isn't it? And we have to take note of them. We have to face them squarely. Conflict means difference of opinion, difference of views. We are not converging. We see things differently. Yes, we agreed into contract, but we didn't realize this is how you will implement it. The way you are implementing is not acceptable to us. We want you to change the design, change the terms and condition. And if conflict resolution is not satisfactory, we redraw the contract. When we talk about participatory development, please be ready to change and redraw the contract. Now, this applies to all the three vectors. The innovator and investor, innovator and entrepreneur, entrepreneur and investor. These kind of conflicts will happen. As per contract, I should pay back in 3 months, 3 years, the loan you have given me. But in between there was a drought or flood, and I cannot pay back now. Give me more time. And you modify the contract, and either give me more time or I become defaulter. So many times, the conditions of the project, of the terms of agreement, may need to be modified to make it work. And this is very important, and we should recognize it as a very critical factor. Next, please. Now, I will give you a small example where Honeybee Network documented the knowledge of 6 communities, knowledge about skin disease. They were traditional knowledge, but when we combined this knowledge, it became an innovation. Because nobody had put the 6 different solutions together. When you put the 6 solutions together, it became a product. And this product then was launched by a company which licensed it, and gives royalty to the communities every year. For 20 years, it will give royalty. This is what we can do. Many times when there is no innovation per se, but there is a lot of traditional knowledge, by blending it with science and technology, by making it commercializable, we can create new intellectual property, and that's what innovation can be. From traditional knowledge, by pooling it, we created new knowledge, and that became innovation. So innovation is not always an existing solution. Innovation is creating a new solution by blending the traditional knowledge with science and technology wherever possible and necessary. Next. Now, this is very interesting point. Most cultures in the world, most ancient cultures in the world shared knowledge openly. 25,000 years ago, in a cave painting, we find a teacher teaching how to make a human figure. First, make a cross, then 2 lines, then a circle on the top, 2 lines, and you make a human figure. 25,000 years ago, this teacher is teaching me a step-by-step process of making a human figure. The teacher is not here, but I am getting the lesson right even today, isn't it? Open knowledge, open innovation, open sharing is this. Yes, please.
Bueno, mencionas pues mucho como el tema del conocimiento, del conocimiento tradicional que se lleva a una innovación y pues por experiencia esa gestión del conocimiento es compleja. ¿En qué sentido? En que el conocimiento tácito, pues como por decirlo así, lo empírico, llevarlo ya a un conocimiento explícito donde se sistematice pues como ese conocimiento. O sea, un ejemplo, estas matronas, las mujeres pues sabias de una comunidad que saben hacer una preparación, un alimento que es muy, muy bueno, que se dio a conocer, pero ellas lo saben y lo tienen acá, tienen toda la medida y tienen pues que no le echan un ingrediente con la mano derecha, sino con la izquierda, y ya llevarlo como a sistematizarlo y poderlo poner ya en un conocimiento más explícito. Esa es como una de las cosas como con las que uno se encuentra muchas veces con estas comunidades. Es como eso, cómo traducir ese conocimiento que está en la mente de una persona que lleva 40 años haciendo lo mismo.
No, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. So one midwife I met in a learning walk. We walk in different parts of the country every summer, every winter, and every autumn. And she taught me 2 things. She said, when you deliver a child, deliver it in a dark room with very little light. The child is in the womb for 9 months. It is dark. If you bring the child into the world in a lighted environment, child gets a shock, becomes afraid. Have a mild light in the room, just one small lamp, when you deliver the child. Second, she said, don't cut the umbilical cord till it is pulsating. For some time, about 8 to 10 minutes, the child is still taking the nutrition from the womb. When child starts breathing properly, you can cut the umbilical cord. This was traditional knowledge. One thing more she said, when you deliver the child, the position of mother to deliver is squatting position. You sit and slowly the child will come out, no cesarean. But look at these tables in the hospital, they're all horizontal tables. You make a woman lie down for delivering a child. It is wrong, unscientific, irrational, painful for the mother. So, there are cases where traditional knowledge is more scientific, more advanced, more functionally valid. But what we are doing in modern science is improper. Some cases, not on all cases, in some cases. We should not hesitate in learning that. I learned from that midwife that there's a mistake we are doing. And we should correct it. The table should not be like that. Table should be reclining with a squatting position. In tribal areas, they have a rope on the top. You hold the rope and put the pressure so that the child comes out. That's a good thing. Today, 90% surgery deliveries in our country are cesarean by surgery. Not good. Not good for child, not good for mother. But for different reasons, doctors are doing that. Wrong. 90% can be normal deliveries. It was so earlier. Changed. So there is a challenge in making the traditional knowledge explicit. But where it is functionally valid, where it works what it claims, we should not hesitate in learning from it. Human beings have been delivered for 10,000 years. We are surviving because our grandparents and great-grandparents managed to live and give birth to children. There is a knowledge they have. You mentioned about weaning foods. You mentioned about food that mother has to eat during the lactation period. You know, we realized in a study that minimum, please give the mic. Mic. That those women, mothers, who breastfeed for 2 years or 2.5 years, children are very strong. They don't fall sick. But if you breastfeed only for 6 months, as often do, mothers do, children are not properly emotionally not mature and physiologically also weak. Yes.
Ok. Bueno, oyendo un poco la intervención de la compañera y en función de lo que la experiencia nos ha dado en territorio y otra parte muy importante es, digamos que el origen cultural que hemos tenido algunos de nosotros, creería yo que hay que desaprender mucho de ese conocimiento académico porque no explica muchas de las maneras que se hacen en lo tradicional, en lo empírico. De eso empírico, que no hay una respuesta científica comprobada por X o Y razón, tenemos que de alguna manera entender que el resultado funcional sí está dando los resultados que se buscan. Creo que ahí del 100% de los casos, cuando yo ya conozco casos por ejemplo, los partos en la comunidad NASA son completamente diferentes a la tradicional, en donde, como lo expresaba ahorita el profesor, son muy de una corriente, digamos que legal, ¿no? Que se instituyó en Francia hace 1000 años, no sé cuándo fue exactamente la fecha, pero por el querer de un rey se especificó que de ahora en adelante las mujeres tenían que dar a luz acostadas para que el hombre viera al niño cuando naciera, de una manera más dolorosa para la mujer. Entonces creo que hay paradigmas que tenemos que romper todos los días con el proceso de innovación, para ese beneficio de la comunidad, para ese beneficio de que sea más inclusivo, que sea más amplio, que sea un beneficio compartido, porque cuando ahora lo hablamos, ese sector privado que está tratando de privatizar un conocimiento que es universal, lo único que está haciendo es ponerle un peaje, un obstáculo para que se desarrolle un proceso que debería ser universal, para mejorar alimentación, para mejorar salud, para mejorar educación, porque son las bases fundamentales para que haya evolución en la humanidad. Gracias.
Yes, you're right. One of the ways in which we can help in continuing this tradition is by making databases. Databases of knowledge, functional knowledge, knowledge which works. Yes.
Buenos días. Es que, digamos, a base de lo que estábamos discutiendo, se me ocurrió algo, una historia de un personaje real. No tiene que ver en sí con los nacimientos, pero sí tiene que ver con una forma de innovación, creo. Hay un personaje en la historia de Colombia que se llama Lucho Bermúdez. Y Lucho Bermúdez es muy importante para la historia de la cultura nacional, porque en los años 50 él nació en Carmen del Darién, en el sur de Bolívar, y se dio cuenta que había un conocimiento tradicional en su región que era la cumbia, ¿no? La música que venía de las expresiones africanas y el mestizaje con las indígenas y las españolas, pero que esa música se estaba perdiendo en ese momento porque era una música popular y no existía una partitura de la cumbia, no existía absolutamente una forma documentada de cómo funcionaba la cumbia. Lo que hizo Lucho Bermúdez, que venía de una familia con ciertos medios, fue traducir la cumbia a partituras, es decir, al lenguaje académico de la música. Y eso permitió que la cumbia se salvara, porque la cumbia estaba muriendo en ese momento, como género y como expresión cultural. El hecho de que Lucho Bermúdez tradujera la cumbia a partituras y que él mismo empezara a llevarla a nivel mundial, permitió que la cumbia se volviera una expresión latinoamericana, porque es colombiana. Y de ahí nacieron todas las demás expresiones de la cumbia en América Latina y se volvió una bandera cultural para todo nuestro continente. Lo que yo veo ahí es un poco lo que el profesor dice, ¿no? Como nosotros y nosotras estamos acá en este medio, y en este medio somos mestizos y mestizas, entendemos a las comunidades porque muchos y muchas venimos de ahí, ¿sí? Y eso nos da la posibilidad, al habernos educado en un sistema académico, de poder dialogar en dos lenguajes y tratar de buscar que se unan para poder hacer, primero para poder salvar ese conocimiento y documentarlo. Yo siento que hay mucho conocimiento en riesgo. Y segundo, para que podamos hacer de ese conocimiento un código abierto, lo que llamamos muchos también ciencia y conocimiento abierto, para que sea para el beneficio de todos y todas. Entonces creo que este podría ser como un ejemplo de cómo se puede hacer y qué rol podemos desempeñar.
Perdón, estamos hablando de conocimiento, generación de conocimiento que conduce a innovación. Hay una situación que pasa en los países latinos, sobre todo, es que hay gente que cree dueña del conocimiento y no lo divulga. Y a veces adquiere mucho conocimiento y cuando no se divulga, no se aplica, pues ahí se perdió la plática. Tú lo decías hace un rato, profesor, con respecto al celular, y también influye mucho la parte mediática y comercial. Aquí en Colombia hay una feria cada 2 años que se llama Agroexpo y ahí hacemos reuniones con personas que manejan sistemas de riego para masificarlo. Se sufre en las comunidades rurales por el agua en verano y no se puede masificar el riego, no hay la fórmula para masificarla, sí se masifica el celular. ¿Sí? Los filtros, decía lo de los filtros, un filtro vale 380.000 pesos, los filtros que para las familias que distribuye UNICEF. El celular, ahí llega uno al campo y hay celulares más finos que los de uno, la gente tiene celulares mejores que los de uno, ¿sí? Mucho más finos. Entonces hay que hacer como un equilibrio entre esa parte del conocimiento y la innovación y hay que liberar el conocimiento universal. Y hay una situación también de que a veces se menosprecia lo antiguo, cuando por ejemplo si vamos a hablar de medicina, los medicamentos venían de origen vegetal y animal, claro, la penicilina ¿de dónde venía? ¿Sí? Entonces se menosprecia lo que había antes por lo que hay nuevo. Y en modas, volvemos en ciertas modas que usamos todos, a modas antiguas, en ropa, en aretes, cosas así, peinados. Pero en este tipo de cosas que necesitan soluciones innovadoras para la humanidad, que la salven de, por ejemplo, para el cambio climático. Sí, les hablan del cambio climático y se burlan de uno, no, porque es algo más moderno que hay que hacer, que hay que cambiar, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces también nos falta como en esa parte, cerrando, conocimiento e innovación, liberar el conocimiento y que sea algo, liberar también la mente abierta también, porque a veces se cree que se tiene el conocimiento. Gracias.
Gracias. Tenemos unos retos muy grandes en Colombia y en muchos países donde en las zonas de más alta biodiversidad tenemos una gran pobreza. Y tenemos algunas regulaciones que derivan del convenio de biodiversidad, del acuerdo entre las partes, sobre el uso de recursos genéticos y el conocimiento tradicional. Hemos tenido intentos desde acá, desde el PNUD, de digamos, poder dar un salto del conocimiento tradicional a un poco el ejemplo de las patentes. Lo intentamos con la jagua. La jagua es un producto que se usa para las pinturas en los cuerpos de nuestras comunidades tradicionales indígenas del Chocó. Sin embargo, las barreras normativas que tenemos en la comunidad andina, que son hechas para proteger el conocimiento tradicional, esas barreras no nos permitieron avanzar en que ese conocimiento pudiera ser, digamos, comercializado. Entonces tenemos dos retos en innovación. Uno, cómo el conocimiento, digamos, tradicional se protege pero no queda atrapado, embolsado, ¿no? Ese es un tema. Y otro, el uso de los recursos genéticos. En esta región, en América Latina, tenemos casos dramáticos, por ejemplo, el intento de empresas europeas de patentar el yagé, que es una planta tradicional, sagrada, de los pueblos indígenas. Entonces tenemos una brecha muy grande entre ese gran potencial de la biodiversidad, su uso, la distribución equitativa de los beneficios, digamos un mercado que es bastante voraz y una reglamentación que con muchas barreras, que lo que lleva es a la piratería de los recursos genéticos y del conocimiento tradicional. Entonces creo que en términos de uso de la biodiversidad y distribución justa de los beneficios, tenemos unas barreras muy altas que en un país, Colombia es el segundo país más biodiverso del mundo, entonces nos limita el uso de la biodiversidad donde tenemos un gran potencial.
It's very interesting that we are coming to the point logically where we will be heading next. Sorry, we are coming to the point where we'll be heading next soon after I finish this in about maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, about 30 minutes, before Anamika comes in with a prior informed consent. How do we get the consent of the communities to deal with this issue that you mentioned? At what terms will you take my knowledge? What will you do with it? What is my stake in it? My stake as an individual, but my stake as a member of a community. And modern laws and modern systems sometimes are incapable of dealing with the values of the traditional communities. One example, and then I'll move on. Long time ago, the Reserve Bank of Australia bought a painting from an indigenous person to print on the $50 bill. The community to which the artist belonged objected. They said, this artist first did meditation, went into the trance by doing certain rituals, which community has created, community has invented or created or evolved, and then he got the inspiration to make the painting. He had no right to license it alone. It was not his creation. It was the creation through a combination of the culture that community has created and ritual that community has created and his creativity. He should have taken permission from the community. Community should have also got a share in the fees the Reserve Bank paid or Federal Bank paid to get the painting. Of course, it went to the court. Court did not accept it. And unfortunately, the community rights over individual creativity was not recognized as a precedence. But point is valid. It's a tough challenge. It's not an easy problem. And we will discuss that when we come to discuss the intellectual property right in one of the classes. Are we going to discuss that? So we will be discussing that in one of the sessions. But enough to say here that predominant spirit and the concern I'm getting from your questions and comments is that this knowledge is under risk. It is getting lost very fast. Knowledge is very rich. A lot of knowledge has not even been documented. Forget about being used to make modern products. Many of these knowledge practices are very useful for climate change, for resilience, because these communities have survived for 10,000 years. Our systems are breaking down in 50 years, 100 years. So we need to learn from them how to live over millennia, and yet the modern science and technology many times is not doing good enough, well enough in documenting this. So next please. We will come back to this later stage. I want to mention how can open knowledge, open science and technology be encouraged. I want to give you 2 examples which Honeybee Network has followed. There are many more, but I'll just mention 2. We believe that we should have open databases accessible to anybody and everybody. So we wanted our students to do original work. You will also like the same thing in Columbia. Every student of technology must do something original, something new, something innovative. How will they do that if they don't know what other students have done? Right? And there's no database of student projects. There was no database in my country. Even today, there is no database globally. In Colombia, you may have, may not have a database of undergraduate engineering projects or pharmacy projects. I don't know if you have it, maybe not. So we created a database called as techpedia.in. It has abstracts and title of 200,000 projects done by 550,000 students. Open access. If you want to do a project on solar system, read what others have done first. Do something better, something different. Don't repeat what has been done before. We wanted to change the innovation quotient of our country. We wanted to change the innovation quotient of the world. Every Colombian student who's working on water filter, for example, must look at what Indian students have done. Do better. Do different. Why repeat what have been done? Correct? So this is one way in which we wanted to contribute to the global public knowledge, global good, knowledge as a public good. Knowledge is a public good. Nobody can, if you use it, it doesn't become less. It's not subtractable. Your use does not diminish the supply of knowledge, isn't it? Any number of people can use the database, and it will still stay there. So this is what we did. Next. There is another database which is available at GYAN's website. 2 students of mine, along with Anamika, worked together, Zaigam Khan and Devika Kaushal. Anamika provided them support from GYAN. They downloaded 1 million abundant US patents. Abundant meaning fees was not paid. They were granted, then fees was not paid, they were abundant. That means they became now open source. Valid pieces of intellectual property, fees has not been paid for various reasons, they got abandoned. Now we have put together 1 million such a patent databases. Anybody can use it. Any entrepreneur, any policymaker, any student, any community, any company, anybody can use it. Open access, 1 million. Even US didn't do it, but they let us do it. We took out this database of USPTO, US Patent and Trademark Office. They were very helpful to us. And now we have put together a database which is available at the, I will get you the site. Can you just open the site and take the copy? Just read this. Go to the gyan.org. Just press. And go to the database. Go below. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. No. Abundant US patent. Yeah. Just copy the link and paste it there. I have put it wrong. Old one. Just copy the link. And put it in the PPT. Remove the patent PHP and all. So this is a database. Just here. Here. After students. Remove this. Throw a space. So this is the link, gyan.org/abundant US patent. It's available to all of you. You will get a copy of the PPT. 1 million. Why are we doing that? Sorry. Is it better? Is it better? Better? All right. Why are we doing that? We're doing it because we want to expand the public domain. We believe that everybody must benefit from our effort. Not just we, not just Gyan, not just India. Colombia should also benefit. Argentina should also benefit. Chile should also benefit. Everybody should benefit. This database is universally accessible. Anybody can go and get it. My point is, now I will come to one small indicator. How does a country grow? A country grows when upload to download ratio is high. Our upload to download ratio is very high. We upload lot of knowledge, million database, 200,000 engineering project, download very little. Yes. Mike, please.
Muchas gracias. Yo tengo una pregunta respecto a la información abierta, y es, si bien es una gran herramienta para compartir conocimiento, muchas veces también hay problemas en cierta información porque está sesgada o porque, por ejemplo, una solución tiene impacto ambiental que no fue medido, y eso específicamente en soluciones sociales. Si vamos más allá a bases de datos, por ejemplo, de conocimiento general, podríamos filtrar pues, temas mucho más controversiales como conceptos de terraplanistas, y bueno, hay miles de conceptos, y por eso en general las bases de datos de conocimiento tienen unos filtros bastante fuertes que por el otro lado generan negativamente como un freno y, como decía mi compañero, un peaje a la información. ¿Cómo balancear esas dos cosas? De tratar de generar mayor fluidez en la información mientras pues, se garantiza una calidad en la información que se comparte.
It's a valid issue. It's a valid issue. My point only is, if there is a database, you can critique it. If there is no database, you cannot critique it. The cost of finding information, searching information goes up enormously in the absence of database. After searching information, finding supplier of valid knowledge requires intelligence. I will not give equal importance to everything on the Google, correct? There is a lot of misinformation, a lot of wrong information, deliberately wrong information to confuse the people. I should have the intelligence to find out which supplier or which database sources will I rely upon. I will not rely on everything in it. I will rely more on scientific institutions, reputed NGOs, organizations which are responsible. I will give weightage to their databases. But my point is, why didn't anybody make these databases? Look at the next database. Here, this database that Gyan has made. Come, just write any problem here. Or go further, go up. Just go up. Acha, okay. Now, let's say banana crop. Okay. Acha, because it's practiced by, So this is just open this one, banana one. You cultivate banana in Colombia. And there may be some disease in banana for which you are looking for non-chemical solution. Maybe a farmer in India has found a solution. Go further. Go to next one. Sometimes they make an extract of pseudostem or leaf and use it as a growth promoter. Many times after harvesting banana, we throw away the banana stem, pseudostem. But it has a lot of water. That water is alkaline. It is called banana alkali. Very good for our health. Fiber from banana stem can make into a lot of products.
Yes, to answer your question, We would have come to this in the later part of the session, but we will discuss the value chain of innovation. And if you see, we have put PAS, that is prior art search. So when you document, after you document, because professor right now is dealing with more of what kind of solutions we are searching, and how do we search more, how do we understand solutions as. But later, when we document them, we will come to prior
literature.
a practice of searching literature. So you know, whatever you are, see, one thing is documentation, another thing is diffusion.
And validation.
When you disseminate that, before dissemination, you will like to verify if this is wrong, right, ethical, unethical. And there, through the prior prior art search, where different scholars, maybe not only in Columbia, but in different contexts, they have found similar solutions. If they are properly published in a peer-reviewed journal, the proper scientific studies have been carried out, your problem is solved. And that is also in public knowledge, public domain, so you don't have any problem in sharing it. It does not entail intellectual property. So in that case, even if you share, the community will not be shortchanged. The community will not feel bad because that is already existing. You are just supplementing the information. Sometimes the information is not as it is, like analogical, like artifactual, right? But analogical. Suppose, so they have found a use which was not known by the community here. And the community here has given a knowledge which was not known. But if, because there is an application change, you would like to hold on and see if you want to protect. But if it is for greater good, it depends on the intention you are sharing with, then you will like to disseminate it or diffuse it in the open source. So there are different ways of finding out if the knowledge is true, false, somewhat is not very clear if it is good or bad. But while documentation, the more filters we create, the more knowledge we lose.
So, yeah, just to illustrate this point further, can you go back to that? We have a knowledge, let us say, where one plant extract is used to control pest. You don't have that plant. So artifactually, you can't use this knowledge in Colombia. But I give you the heuristic underlying this practice. The heuristic is the plant which animals don't eat. Plants which animals don't eat are a potential source of pesticide. Why animals don't eat? Because they are toxic. What do I need to control pest? Toxicity. Let me find out near my garden, near my farm, which are the inedible weeds, the plant which animals don't eat. I will make my pesticide now. Correct? This is the way we can apply knowledge documented in one part of the world, not artifactually, sometime analogically, and sometime the heuristic of that practice is applicable in my country, is applicable all over the world actually. So let's go back. These are databases of knowledge that we try to verify with the prior literature. But point is there that we should be careful when we use. My philosophy is, when in doubt, share. When you don't know whether it is right or wrong, share. Somebody will find out. Trust the judgment of crowd. All the colleagues sitting in this class, one person may have some knowledge by saying, no, professor, what you're saying may not be correct. In our country, when children are delivered, this is what is done, not that. Maybe. Or they will validate it. No. In our country also, the practice is, indigenous people follow similar practice. It is validated now, to some extent. So, next please. There are 4 things that we can do institutionally to ensure that the solutions are constantly recorded and shared. You can create honeybee clubs, you can create UNDP clubs, you can create whatever name you give to these clubs, innovation clubs in different colleges and schools. They should do four things. Search innovation. Our children in schools, our students in colleges, our staff in the teams of various departments of UNDP, search solution, map the creativity, spread them, share them, celebrate them, recognize the outstanding achievers, invite them in a 3 months. I would request one to invite 5 or 7 innovators, have lunch with them, listen to their stories. Just listen to their stories. One lunch, maybe every month, with innovators. One lunch with innovators. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Listen to 5 people from different sectors, listen to their story, give them a small citation, a certificate of acknowledgement, and a gift and a memento. They will go back and spread the word around. If you do it, the government departments, like Science and Technology Department, Innovation Department, APC office, they will also start doing it maybe. Start inviting innovators for lunch once a month. It doesn't cost too much. Anyway, we bring our lunch, so we all open our own lunch bags. And for innovators, we arrange specially, and we ask them to tell their stories. Celebrate innovation. Create a culture that people, they will go back and tell their communities, you know, we were invited by United Nations office in Bogota. Yes? And the community says, yes, why were you invited? Because I shared my innovation with them. Oh, so then we should also do it? Yes. You may also be getting chance to be recognized. That is how we created this culture of sharing in our country. We got 400,000 ideas from 700 districts of our country. 400,000. In about how many years? From 2000 we set up National Innovation Foundation. In 20 years, 23 years. They could do that. Colombia can do that. By creating a culture. A weekly lunch, I wouldn't say, if not weekly, at least monthly. But even weekly lunch would be nice. Because there's so many people to be recognized. There are only 52 weeks in a country, in a year. 52 into 5. So about 250 people we will recognize in a year if we do it weekly.
Say just a line that when people feel that how do we protect our knowledge, because the private sector is maybe trying to exploit it, right? But one of the things that when you publish your finding, it becomes a prior art, and that thing cannot be patented. Right? So it is like working around the problem but we will always say that things which are unique may be protected, and of course sometimes the community has norms or cultural beliefs which we do not want to mess up with, so we keep them as a secret maybe, but that again will come to the prior informed consent where the community decides what they are going to do with the knowledge. But for all the people who are scared of private sector, once a knowledge or an innovation get published, even the innovator cannot have another patent unless that has been in secret. So once it is in public domain, chances are that at least for that very reason, these things cannot be patented. So it will be in the public knowledge. Maybe some people will not be, like the community is not able to exploit what they already know, and that is where we bring bridges and take these knowledge to a more viable product. For example, and that also answers the other question, is when you have young people in the group who want to experiment, and there are people who have experimented and they have all the knowledge, they are more outcome oriented. So we had this project, and we had never done this in Gyan, and professor said, are you sure you want to do it? I said, okay, let me bid for it. If we get, then we will see. And we got it, and it deals with how the traditional knowledge or the traditional knowledge based on recipes, food, uncultivated plants, things that the communities are rich in, can be made into a product which can be sold in the urban spaces. because cities are where the money is. And those communities will earn and conserve those bioresources because they're going to earn from it. And we got this project. So sometimes it is good to hear younger people who are willing to experiment, and at least where the cost of failure is very low, where you don't lose much. You will maybe, but it will give the younger colleague assurance that there are people who will hear their voices. There are people who will at least let them experiment, because you know, it is very difficult for us to be always in a square box. We cannot. We are born imaginative. If you see how a child draws things, if a child gives ideas, his or her imagination is boundless. It is only through education, then our work life, our professional life, our office norms, we become so tamed that we start walking in a line. But if you are given a freedom to just go haywire, you will do that, right? So yes, then we can have the next.
How much time? Okay, so let me just go a little fast because we want to leave the time for break, and then with your consent, the break is being delayed by 20 minutes. I've not asked you, just taken it for granted. That is what happens sometime in prior informed consent. We don't ask people, we just tell them that we've taken their consent. So this is one of the ways in which we document. We do walks in different parts of the country. I have walked about 6,000 kilometers so far in the last 25 years. In summer, we go to hot places. In winter, we go to cold places. In autumn, we go to mountains, Himalaya, with my students. In other two walks, anybody can join. Shodh means to explore. Walk means, yatra means journey. And we walk in different parts of the places, different conditions, and essentially to learn from 4 teachers. Teacher is within us. The questions that you are raising are coming from within. Teacher around us, people we are listening to, reacting to. Teacher among the common people, and teacher in nature. 4 teachers. We all can learn. No fees has to be paid. It is all available to us. All of us have access to the 4 teachers, the way we have had. And this is a very brief discussion. We'll come back to it in the next few classes. But briefly, I will tell you that there are 2 dimensions here, inside out and outside in. I call it innovation playground. Inside out means, how much do I share with others? Outside in, how much I learn from others? If I don't share and don't learn, I'm doomed. I'm like ostrich. I will not share, I will not learn, I'm doomed. Such societies, such companies, such organizations don't last. If you look at the Fortune 500 companies, say 50 years ago, or even 10 years ago, and you look at today, they're very different. The old giants have vanished. New companies have become the big companies. Sponge, when inside out is low, outside in is high. I want to learn all the things that you are sharing. I won't tell you anything from myself. P&G did crowdsourcing of ideas. They improved their profitability. They improved their new product discussion, their development. They paid small amounts, but they never shared what knowledge for which they paid $10,000, how many millions it generated for them. That they didn't tell. They were like a sponge, absorb, absorb, absorb. That's one way to do it. Pollinator, where outside in is low, inside out is high. Tesla opened all its patents for battery so that other competitors will come in the market and make electric car, and charging stations will be installed, not just for one brand, but for many brands. So therefore, many times, sharing, even by private sector, can give them leadership. If private sector can open their patents to bring more competition in the market, because then more charging stations will come, and everybody will grow, then why not public sector? And this is my favorite one, when both are high. I'm willing to share a lot, I'm willing to learn a lot. In Hindi, we call it Dil Bada, Dimag Bada. In English means big heart, big mind. Those who are not insecure, who are not afraid, if I share, others will also learn, nobody will ask me. No, your knowledge will be respected, no matter how many other people know about what you know. Because the way you will communicate, the way you will grow it further will help. So please appreciate that this is a playground where we can see, we can simulate the outcomes of different kind of learning and sharing behavior. My suggestion, of course, is to be here or be here, but it is your choice. We have had Festival of Innovation, to Festival of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. President of India, I worked with 4 presidents. President of India hosts the Festival of Innovation at President's house. Innovators stay as a guest of President of India for 10 days. Can we do that in Colombia? Can we have a Festival of Innovation at President's house? Why did we do that? We wanted to give a message to our country. If head of the state gives attention to the common people who are solving problem, then this country knows now that innovation matters. That if you solve the problem, you get respect, you get recognition at the highest level. And the awards were given by President for these innovations. So this is possible. We have done it. You can do it also if you wish to. President of India giving awards. Next, please. Now, these are some of the competitions. We will share examples later. HBN Kriya Honeybee Network Creativity and Inclusive Innovation Award is a global award. Last year, we had the function where we had innovations from Philippines, Argentina, Ecuador, from Iraq, Iran, and a few other countries apart from India. And they were recognized. So this is one way. Next, please. This is another one that we are doing. On 28th of November to 2nd December, we will have second People's Festival of Innovation. It is being organized in Delhi at the Indian International Center. You can join us, bring innovators, join a panel discussion, and we will, please, previous one. And we will be able to have both the deep tech and the grassroots. We are bringing together deep tech and grassroots. Grassroots, Gyan is bringing deep tech, another incubator in the country, accelerator is bringing. And we are bringing them together. Very deep science, high tech, artificial intelligence and all of that. And grassroots innovations together on the same platform. People who come to visit see that and also see this. So that our mind knows that it is all right, high-tech science and technology can solve some problem, but these problems that grassroots innovators are solving are not being solved by the high-tech people. So we need both. We need both kinds of solution. Next. This is an example of HBN Kriya National with Amazon, which is supporting us in giving awards to the innovations within the country, inclusive innovation within the country. What I'm trying to say is, it is possible to create platforms of recognition, respect, recognition, and reward. Respect, recognition, and reward. All the 3 things we can give, we can provide to our people for solving problems. Next, please. We also give award to children. And I'll show you some examples just now, how children have solved problems which we could not. The science and technology innovations could not. Please, next. So let us look at some examples of frugal innovation from children. Now, this is an example. Some of you are sitting all right, some of you are not. When we work in the office, sometimes we bend forward while working on computer, isn't it? We have pain in our lower back. Many of you might have suffered from pain in 4th and 5th lumbar because our posture is not correct. These kids, one girl, class 5, another boy, class 10, gave an idea that the computer will sense your posture. If you're not sitting properly, the blank screen will become blank, the message will come, sit properly, I will not let you do work. Good idea. We suffer, the adults suffer, but who is giving the suggestion, solution? Children. Another kid said, we will have pressure sensors on the chair. If I'm not pressing all the 5, just go back down. If she's not pressing all the pressure sensor, there'll be music chair will start singing song. You're not sitting properly. Give rest to your back. Only then I will let you do work. Good. Children are finding solutions. Problem is by adults, suffering by adults. Next, please. So this is another good example. One girl, class 8th, saw that her grandfather couldn't use the walker on steps. Walker in Colombia, walker in USA, walker in Japan can't work on steps, correct? Now they can. Now they can. This girl solved a universal problem, not an Indian problem. Universal problem. All over the world, walkers have this deficiency. When you go up, the front leg becomes shorter. When you come down, front leg becomes taller. Simple idea. She did not make it. Our team made it. She only gave two-line solution. Can front legs become flexible? That's all she wrote on a piece of paper. That was her idea. It led to this product. Product licensed to a company, Viso. Viso gives royalty to her every year and license fee for taking this technology to market. Our children can become entrepreneurs. Our children can get license fee and royalty. We have done it. It's possible. Don't underestimate the power of children to solve problems. That's what I'm trying to say. As Anamika said the other day, children don't know it is not possible. So they can say anything. And that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Next, please. So this is how this solution is. And this kid gave a suggestion that sometime my pets are under stress. My dog is under stress. We saw in Colombia, a lot of people have pet dogs. And sometimes you are traveling, as I am doing, my dog and her dog, they're not seeing us for almost 2 weeks. They might be stressed. So she said, the strap that we have should have a stress sensor. It should tell me that my pet is under stress. I should talk to him, spend more time with him or her, so that the tension is reduced. Now look at this. Children are thinking about not just human beings, but also non-human sentient beings. Dogs are part of our family, our consciousness. They deserve the same sense of responsibility. Next, please. Next. So inertia is not inevitable. Can we learn, please, can we learn from those who suffer? We think suffering means victim. I'm suffering because I'm victim of the system. But I can also be the victor. I can also solve my problem. Give me a chance. Listen to me. Support me. Work with me. And I might be able to solve the problem. Can we challenge the tech youth? You just gave example from the ministry that there is a challenge they issued about fiber, natural fibers, and they came out with some wonderful example where edible cutlery was developed. We also have edible cutlery. You also have that solution. And it's a good solution. So much of plastic goes, every party means kilograms or quintals of plastic in the environment. In future, it will all be biodegradable, if not edible. Will be possible. This is a portfolio of incentives. We can come back to it later on if you want more discussion, but today we just introduced this portfolio, please. There are two dimensions of incentive, material, non-material, and two targets, individual and collective. I can give incentive to individuals. I can give incentives to the groups. I can give incentive to the community. Not all incentives can be for individuals only. Please remember that. Not all incentives can be in the material form. I have done this exercise in my class, and we will do that in one of the classes. I'll ask you to rank the incentives under all the 4 categories. Generally, assumption is that material individual will be the most preferred ones. Our studies show it is not true. A pat on the back, a recognition by the RR of the work that you have done may be sometimes worth much more than a $10,000 check or $100,000 check. Recognition by people whom you respect is sometimes worth more. So what kind of portfolio we make, we'll come back to this later, but just to introduce this today. Next, please. Next. So just one back. In my talk also, you have argued this, that Maslow was wrong. Maslow thought, unless we meet our basic need, we cannot aspire for higher order need. It is not correct. I can, even though I may not have food enough, aspire for larger public good, larger social good, and I can be very enlightened, though I'm poor. So please don't think that unless you meet your basic need and then next higher order need and then next higher order need, you cannot reach the enlightenment. Those people who serve society selflessly achieve enlightenment, even if they don't gain much themselves. So this is not correct. Yes, go ahead. So we have also done global databases and global institutions. That's next, please. We have licensed technology to different countries, not just in India, to Pakistan, to Singapore. And these are the countries from where we got inquiries, from Nigeria, Benin, New Zealand, Philippines, Ecuador, Uganda, Rwanda, Venezuela. Garlic peeling machine, we got inquiry from Slovenia, USA, Turkey, Peru, Singapore, Iran, Venezuela, and Pakistan. Globally, there's a demand for grassroots innovation. We thought it is only for local community. No. It is if there is a problem, if you are finding difficulty in peeling the garlic, you know garlic peeling requires little effort. This machine does it very fast. For hotels, you need that. For big cafeteria, you need that. There were queries. So please appreciate that the workshop that we're doing, the kind of database we're trying to build, the kind of inquiry we are having to get from the territories the solution, these solutions will be useful not just for the communities, but for communities in Colombia, they could be useful for us. The idea of solar and repeater of internet was a good idea. We would like to have this in our country also if needed. Next, please. We also organized traditional food and nutrition festival to celebrate. This is the journey Honeybee Network started. Srishti, one of the organizations that I set up in 93, Gyan in 97, National Innovation Foundation in 2000, and now we might set up Global Innovation Foundation. If Colombia joins hands with us, we might set up a foundation which will support innovators around the world. Not just in India, not just in Colombia, maybe in Mexico, maybe in Peru, maybe in Ecuador, maybe in Ghana or wherever possible. We are planning to do that. So these are the 5 functions: scouting and documentation, value addition and product development, enterprise and business development, intellectual property management, dissemination and database development. These are the 5 functions. No matter where you do, no matter who does it, these 5 functions have to be fulfilled at the ecosystem level, and we will discuss in several sessions. My book, the subtitle of my book is Mind on the Margin Are Not Marginal Minds. I am a great believer in it. I believe that people on the margin are not marginal people. They have a lot of ideas to share, and they must therefore get a chance. Next point. So these are the 4 institutions. Closely, just close last one. Creativity counts, knowledge matters, innovations transform, and incentives inspire, but not just material incentives, also non-material incentives, not just individual incentives, but also collective incentives. Thank you.
So, because many of you were asking questions about the innovation value chain and how you can integrate these in your programs, we will discuss the different, different steps, and then we'll do a short activity wherein we will see how these steps, how you can incorporate your partners, your fellow mates, your colleagues, to do each of the steps in a more amicable way without maybe disturbing too much, but again making it very attractive to your colleagues and your field mates. So the first step, as we have been discussing for the past 2 sessions, is scouting and documentation. Scouting is searching. We had dealt with in the session where we found online and offline sources, right? And now, as I understand that Colombia is a very diverse topology. You have the mountains, you have the coasts, you have the forests, you have the desert. So the idea first let me tell you that we will have 5 groups for each of the function. I am not going to tell you how those will be allocated. I will tell you in a later phase. But the idea of the scouting group is to find mechanisms on ground through which they can find solutions from each of the ecological area that you have. each of the mountains or coastals or forests, deserts, right? So that plan has to be exhaustive so that you do not leave anyone behind, so that all of the regions are covered. So scouting, is there any question what you'll have to find? No? Now we come to documentation. What to document? If you have seen the form that we have circulated, we have asked 3 basic questions. What problem does it solve? What is the innovation? How is the innovation, like what are the details? How does it work? And if it is proprietary, that is, if there is an IP attached, or it can be shared open source. Why do we do it? Is when we first go to a community or a knowledge provider and we bombard them with so much of questions, they will not answer. Right? It is like too much of inquiry for them. So we document in 2 or 3 steps. First step is only about the knowledge or the innovation, what problem it is solving, and if it is private or an open source knowledge. Sometimes there might be ambiguity if they are private, community, or public knowledge. For that, we have to ask several people in the community if they are aware of this knowledge. In a way, this knowledge has to be ratified by the community that this is not a community knowledge, this is individual's knowledge. Or if it is a community knowledge and the individual is only telling us, it's only the person who is communicating. It is not the innovator, it is he or she is not the innovator, he or she is the communicator for the community. Okay. Then the second phase, when you come and you see, okay, these are the maybe 100 solutions or 20 solutions that we have found, and maybe 2 or 3 appear very interesting. Then we go into details, like the innovation details, so that at this stage you want to see if they are novel. So we document things that will establish novelty for the solution. For example, what it is made of, like you remember the innovation matrix that professor had shown? Material, method, application, and service delivery. Okay? So we will ask our questions depending, because we want to establish novelty, so we are again asking question, what is the material? Suppose it's a biological material, a plant species. You want to know which part is being used, how it, and which plant, if this is particular to one genera, that is one species, or one family of plants. Then you have method, how it is being made. So one is your traditional knowledge, one is your mechanical or machine innovations. Okay? And then material, method, application. In terms of application, when they say that, suppose they use one leaf for treating wounds, and then you come to know that there is another community who uses it for fever. So application you will try. For each of them, we will also ask other community members. Here for the machines, you can ask for the users, of course the innovator, and then you can do a market survey, whatever. Then is the service model. So in the first step, you are just documenting whatever knowledge or innovation is there, so that the innovator feels comfortable with you. If you ask too many questions in the first place, they will not answer, I repeat. So that is sometimes, because we go to a field with a mission, we are there for a couple of days or 3 days maybe, and we want to have everything at one go. So that we, yeah, that's a tendency, because of course that is how we have to, you know, make our reports, we have to give details, and we forget that then the innovator might not share. In the second part, when you have filtered the innovations or knowledge, you want to see if they are novel. If they are novel, you might go to a patent process. If they are not novel, you are making it a part of the public knowledge domain. So, many of the things are already there in the public knowledge, but they are not accessible many a times. The idea is to now segregate them into what can be shared very publicly, so that anyone who is interested can benefit from it, and something that can be patented will need a more diligent process. We will then again go back in our third trip to the community. We'll go back and ask if the community wants to go for patent. They may not understand the pros and cons of having a patent. There, because you are from the public sector, you will have to explain what a patent does and how that can be protected. And again, because a knowledge or a machine is protected, that should not deter us from asking if the innovator is willing to share it publicly. In that case, you protect the intellectual property in the name of the innovator or the community, but you make it available for others to copy. Sometimes it is not that somebody is taking over my thing. It is sometimes that, okay, you want to copy my thing, but you just acknowledge that I have done it. You know, so that will give me a solace that, okay, I am being acknowledged. And we should, and there are people, we often explain to our innovators, is that only good things are copied. Or you don't steal crap from others. You want things that are good. And when a idea or a knowledge is being copied, that means it is useful. So people who are trying to find out parameters of how good or bad an innovation is, you check how many people are trying to adopt it or adapt it. And if there are the people are trying to play around it, then of course that might be interesting to those people, right? So then this is our scouting and documentation group. So this group will do it. And if you have more members, please shift to the other group, because otherwise we'll have a very elaborate one group presentation and the other group might not have that much. So any question in the scouting and documentation part? And you will do it for all the regions, because the same machinery is not there in all the regions. Like where Hira or the place that they're saying, there may be community networks are more important than having a government network. So you should be mindful of the network that are more strong there. Right now, we are thinking of whatever is there, we make best use of it, rather than trying to build one complete network, which will of course take time, right? Then is the value addition and product development. The value addition part will also be we'll start with the prior art search. Now, because you are not domain experts. You will need domain experts who will do it for you. How will you reach to the professors, the scholars, to the scientific institutions, or maybe some people who are in your group in the UNDP office, they have a background in it. How will you make it more lucrative for them to do this for you, in case you are not able to do? Some we can do. We can find out from different sources if certain machine is working, is there, we can do market benchmark. But in some cases, we'll need the academia or the industry do it for us. Once the PAS, the prior art search is done, we will try to validate the claims of the innovator or the community. Now, for those who have worked in the community, we understand that there are certain things which are part of rituals or superstitions. But there are certain things which are ritualistic in nature, but they have a scientific point in them. Now, who will establish that? The people who are working in that domain, right? And so maybe you can, one thing, how you start is you see the papers that have been published for last 5 years, and you identify experts who are working in that domain. That is one way, but you will find several other ways in which you'll find people who will help you in validate the claims of the innovator. With validation comes value addition. Like, you know, the pills we eat, we take, the medicines we take, the most of the work is done by the active ingredient, something that we need for dealing with the ailment that we have. But they are mixed with 10 other things. Maybe the carrier, which will take the active ingredient to the organ that it has to impact. Maybe the taste. If medicines are given to you in the form that they actually work, you will not like to consume them. They'll be very bitter. So in that case, even whatever the innovation or the concoction or the herbal practice you had, you have to repackage it, make it more palatable, more adoptable, so that people can use it. So this group will do the validation and the product development part. This group can do it? You can do it? Yes? You have to do it. There's no yes or no. So, no, so we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because last time we had it like this, so now we want everybody from the first to the last bench to contribute. I think this group will be a little lesser, so somebody can join. If you want to mix, it's okay. If you want to be with your friends and chat a bit, that's also okay. But remember that we'll have to present it in the end. The third group is the group who will find entrepreneurial opportunities. They will map partners from the industries or the government schemes or the programs of the UNDP where those innovations can be supported. There are schemes, so because some of the schemes are like, some of the programs are like water. Now, how do we create a scheme within that program so that the innovations from who are in the domain of water engineering or sanitation or water cleaning, filtering, they can be supported. That can be supporting the innovation where you give them some money to develop it further or whatever. Sometimes it could be that there are certain startups or certain technologies which are there, and you can imbibe them in your programs. Because everything is not behavioral. Some things can be technological.
Anamika,
right?
There are 2 or 3 things to be kept in mind. One is in situ value addition and ex situ value addition. In situ means where the product or process is in the field, you add value there. So let's say there is a water storage structure in Vaira. Can you do something in watershed management which makes it more efficient? That is in situ value addition. Ex situ, there is a lot of salt. There's a lot of salt there. You can develop a filter in Bogota, in some university, and take it there for testing. So when value addition is done outside, away from the location, that is called ex situ value addition. Value addition need not be only very high engineering or high technology. Sometimes by providing scientific basis of a practice, you have added value. You are eating this plant for this purpose. Actually, our studies have shown in the lab that this works Now, when we share this knowledge with the community, community's confidence in that knowledge goes up and it becomes this value-added knowledge. The enterprise development can also be economic enterprise, social enterprise, cultural enterprise, or educational enterprise. The difference between economic and social is, in social enterprise, the entire cost of the product or service may not be paid by the user. In economic enterprise, you recover the cost from the user. That is how market works. You go to a shop, you want to get a haircut, you get a haircut and pay for the service. Transaction is complete. Social enterprises, you want to provide spectacles to elderly people, you collect from somewhere resources to buy the spectacles and eye doctor. They go and give the spectacles, the glasses to the old people. They don't pay for it, somebody else paying for it. Then it becomes a social enterprise. You can have a hybrid. Some cost is borne by the people, some is given by the outside. The point very important here is that enterprise development also involves financial investment. So there may be, as she mentioned, finance can come from government, can come from private sector, can come from high net worth individuals. Angel investment, as it is called sometime. Somebody is rich, you know that person, you say, will you sponsor 10 or 50 filters in my community? All right, go ahead. And they give a check and 50 filters are bought and distributed. That's an individual. We should not ignore the potential of high net worth individual, more rich individuals to contribute and engage with our projects. Sometimes they can help. There can also be banks. There is a CSR fund. I don't know whether in Colombia you call it
I don't think
corporate
you have.
social responsibility.
Do you have? Where every
Company has to
company
invest
has to
some money.
invest. So you
Yeah.
have.
So there can be CSR fund, corporate social responsibility fund, which can be mobilized sometime for enterprise development. So there's a multiple approaches of funding, multiple approaches of enterprise development. Sometimes you license the technology to a company and company does the commercialization. Sometimes the innovator does not commercialize, somebody else does it. They have a partnership, joint venture. So whole different models of enterprise development can be covered.
Okay, then we have the IPR management. In India, the patents that have been filed by the Honeybee Network institutions, for most of the patents, the patent attorneys have not taken money from us. Only the government fee. And under certain schemes, even the fee are, you get it in a very discounted rate. So how do you create policy mechanisms so that you can protect the knowledge of the people, but also make them open source? Like, we had National Innovation Foundation had a program, GTIF, where grassroots grassroots technological innovation acquisition fund. Sorry, it's a long one. So where would we do that? We found innovations which they do not have a commercial potential. They cannot go through the market, but they are very good for people. They can reduce drudgery. They are very good for the environment. In those cases, we take the license from the innovator and we make it open source. So the innovator is not shortchanged, or the innovator doesn't feel that their innovation has been stolen or taken away, or if the innovation is very particular of protecting their knowledge. And so the state or the organization or the public policy group takes the rights of the innovations and then make it open source. So there are different mechanisms through which you can protect the IPRs of the people. Like another time, professor had mentioned the technology commons, when you encourage people-to-people copying so that small innovators, small fabricators, small businesses are not impacted. But if there's an MNC or a bigger business group, then they have to pay a licensing fee. So there can be different models. So the fourth group will find out what kind of policies will help you to protect the IPRs, but also make like enrich the open source knowledge, open knowledge system. You have more knowledge from the open source systems for an open source, so that people can use it more frequently. And as I understand, being a part of the UNDP, there are some IP laws or policies that you have to abide by, but you'll have to find out ways in which you can support the innovators, but also make things more open source, right? So this will be a very, like a tough task, but something that we look forward to. And the fifth one is the group who will work on how to disseminate, what to disseminate, or what will go a commercial way, and how they can promote social diffusion. Social diffusion, suppose there is a farming practice, and you know that this will conserve the soil, or it will reduce water dependency or something like that, and you know that this knowledge is not something that people will pay me for. So it can diffuse in a social way, where maybe there are public gatherings, maybe there are church gatherings, maybe there are youth councils. So you will find the channels through which you will try to disseminate these knowledge systems, the knowledges, practices, or innovations. And you will also create a system to find out if they can go through a commercial or a social line. So some things are very clear. If there's a machine which I and you need, it will go to a very commercial way. But there are certain ways, certain things which may not directly impact us, or maybe we will not be using it. Maybe the urban population is not interested, but the rural people who can use them will need them, but they cannot pay for them. So you'll find out a way to cross-subsidize these innovations, as in that somebody else will pay for the use of those innovations by people who need them or aspire them, but they cannot afford them, right? So this is the work of the fifth group. Are we clear on who has to do what?